Hey, adventurers, dreamers, and fellow explorers, today we're going higher than you've probably ever imagined. We're not talking about your average scenic mountains or tourist viewpoints. We're diving into the top 10 most extreme high natural wonders on Earth. Places so incredibly tall, so uniquely extreme, and so mind-blowing that you might not believe they actually exist. These are mountains measured not just by height above sea level, but by total rise from their base, distance from the center of our planet, sheer danger, remoteness, and that jaw-dropping "how is this even real" factor. Each one carries centuries of history, tales of brave and sometimes doomed explorers, ancient legends, scientific breakthroughs, and the raw power of nature. From the savage slopes of the Karakoram to a volcano mostly hidden beneath the Pacific Ocean, and even a peak that's technically closer to space than Everest. Buckle up. We're counting them down from number 10 to our ultimate number 1. Let's begin this epic journey to the roof of the world. Number 10. Puncak Jaya, Carstensz Pyramid, the remote equatorial giant. At number 10, we head to one of the most isolated and logistically nightmarish high places on Earth. Puncak Jaya, also known as Carstensz Pyramid, the highest peak in Oceania, at 4,884 meters, 16,024 feet. Imagine this. You're deep in the rugged Sudirman Range of Indonesian Papua, Western New Guinea. To even reach the mountain, most expeditions fly by helicopter into the jungle or trek for days through dense rainforest, crossing rivers and navigating tribal lands. Then you face a sharp, pyramid-shaped limestone peak that requires technical rock climbing, unlike many walk-up high mountains. And here's the wild part. It sits almost on the equator, yet still holds, or held, small glaciers and ice fields that are rapidly vanishing due to climate change. Dutch explorer Jan Carstensen first sighted the snow-capped peaks from the coast in 1623, something Europeans refused to believe for centuries, because snow on the equator? Impossible. In 1936, a Dutch expedition climbed nearby summits, but failed on the actual pyramid due to weather. The first successful ascent of Carstensz Pyramid itself came in 1962, led by legendary Austrian mountaineer Heinrich Herrer. Yes, the same man who escaped to Tibet and wrote 7 Years in Tibet, along with Philip Temple, Russell Kipax, and Albertus Huizinga. It's one of the legendary 7 summits, highest peak on each continent. Yet far fewer people have stood here than on Everest. The combination of extreme remoteness, political permits, jungle to ice transition, and disappearing ice makes it one of the most extreme high adventures left on the planet. Standing on top feels like reaching the edge of the known world. Number 9. Vinson Massif, Antarctica's frozen colossus. Moving to number 9, we enter the most inhospitable continent on Earth. Vinson Massif, in the Ellsworth Mountains of Antarctica, the highest peak on the southernmost continent, at 4,892 meters, 16,050 feet. This isn't just high, it's extreme in every sense. Temperatures regularly drop below -30 degrees Celsius, -22 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds can exceed hurricane force, and the air is so dry, it's basically a polar desert. Getting here requires expensive flights from Chile to Union Glacier Camp, then ski-equipped planes or long treks. Fewer people have summited Vinson than have been to space. It was one of the last great first ascents on Earth. In 1966, an American team led by Nicholas Clinch, the American Antarctic Mountaineering Expedition, finally conquered it, supported by the U.S. Navy and National Geographic. All 10 members of the team eventually reached the summit over several days in December 1966. Before that, it was a blank spot on the map for mountaineers. Today, it completes the 7 summits quest for many. But the sheer isolation, cost, and brutal conditions keep it firmly in extreme high territory. Standing on Vinson feels like standing on another planet. Pure, white, endless, and humbling. Number 8. Mount Elbrus, Europe's glaciated giant. At number 8, we travel to the Caucasus Mountains in Russia for Mount Elbrus, Europe's highest peak at 5,642 meters, 18,510 feet. It's a dormant stratovolcano with 2 summits. The western one is higher. Elbrus feels extreme because of its massive size, permanent glaciers, and the fact that you can ride a cable car most of the way up. But the final push still demands respect. Avalanches, sudden weather changes, and high altitude make it no walk in the park. The higher western summit was first climbed in 1829 by Kabardian guide Kilar Kacharov during a Russian scientific expedition. The mountain has long been sacred in local folklore. In modern times, it's become relatively accessible compared to others on this list, yet it still claims lives every year. It represents the gateway to high-altitude adventure for many Europeans, and remains a powerful symbol of the continent's wild side. Number 7. Mount Kilimanjaro, the roof of Africa, and its vanishing snows. Number 7 brings us to the instantly recognizable silhouette of Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania, Africa's highest mountain, at 5,895 meters, 19,341 feet. What makes it extreme? It's a freestanding volcano, not part of a range, rising dramatically from the plains, and its glaciers are disappearing at an alarming rate. Local Chaga people have lived in its shadow for centuries. European explorers heard rumors of a snow-capped mountain near the equator and were mocked back home. In 1889, German geologist Hans Meyer and Austrian climber Ludwig Pertzscheller, guided by Chaga leader Yohani Kinyala Lawo, became the first confirmed team to reach Uhuru Peak on Kibo Crater. Lawo went on to guide for decades and lived to 125. Today, thousands attempt the trek each year via routes like Machame or Lemosho. But the real drama is the glaciers. They've shrunk by over 80% since the early 1900s, and may vanish entirely within decades due to climate change. Hemingway's famous short story, The Snows of Kilimanjaro, captured its mystique perfectly. Standing on the crater rim at sunrise, watching the African plains far below while ice melts around you, is an unforgettable, bittersweet experience. Number 6. Aconcagua, the stone sentinel of the Andes. And number 6. Aconcagua in Argentina, the highest mountain in South America and the entire southern hemisphere, at 6,961 meters, 22,838 feet. It's extreme not because of technical difficulty. The normal route is mostly a strenuous hike/scramble, but because of its massive height, unpredictable high-altitude weather, and the sheer scale of the Andes. Many climbers underestimate it and get humbled by altitude sickness or sudden storms. First serious attempts came in the 1880s. German explorer Paul Gusfeld reached high, but turned back in a storm in 1883. The first recorded summit was achieved in 1897 by Swiss guide Matthias Zurbriggen on a British expedition led by Edward Fitzgerald. Zurbriggen went solo for the final push, a legendary feat. Aconcagua is often called the highest non-technical mountain in the world, yet it still demands serious preparation. Its pyramid shape dominates the landscape, like a stone sentinel guarding the southern Andes. Number 5. Denali Mount McKinley, the Great One of North America. Number 5 is Denali, formerly McKinley in Alaska, North America's highest peak at 6,190 meters, 20,310 feet. Its incredible vertical rise from the surrounding lowlands, one of the greatest on land, and ferocious weather, extreme cold, and massive bulk. Athabascan people called it Denali, the High One, or the Great One, for thousands of years. The first verified ascent came in 1913 by Hudson Stuck, Harry Karstens, Walter Harper, an Athabascan climber, and Robert Tatum via the South Summit. Harper was the first person to stand on top. Denali is notorious for the mountain makes its own weather. Storms can pin climbers down for weeks. It's a true test of endurance and one of the most respected big mountains in the world. Number 4, K2, the Savage Mountain. Now we reach true danger territory with K2 at number 4, the second highest mountain on Earth at 8,611 meters, 28,251 feet, located in the Karakoram Range on the Pakistan-China border. K2 earns its nickname the Savage Mountain or Killer Mountain. While Everest is higher, K2 is widely considered more difficult and dangerous, steeper, more technical, with worse weather, and a higher death rate relative to successful ascents. Named after surveyor Henry Godwin Austen, early attempts in 1902, 1909, and others failed dramatically. The first successful ascent finally happened on July 31, 1954, when Italians Lino Lacedelli and Achille Compagnoni reached the summit on an expedition led by Ardito Desio. It took decades of courage and tragedy. Many call K2 the ultimate mountaineering challenge. The 2008 disaster and other incidents only reinforced its fearsome reputation. Standing on K2's summit is reserved for the very best and luckiest climbers in the world. Number 3, Mount Everest, Chomolungma, the goddess mother of the earth. At number 3, the one everyone knows, Mount Everest, Chomolungma in Tibetan, Sagarmatha in Nepali, the highest point above sea level on Earth at 8,848.86 meters, 29,032 feet. Straddling Nepal and Tibet, China. It's extreme because of the death zone above 8,000 meters, where the human body slowly dies without supplemental oxygen. Extreme winds, avalanches, and the sheer number of people attempting it today. Long sacred to local people as the home of the goddess Chomolungma. Surveyed in the 19th century and named after George Everest, though he never saw it. George Mallory's famous 1920s attempts ended in mystery because it's there. The first confirmed ascent came on May 29, 1953, when New Zealander Edmund Hillary and Nepali Indian Sherpa Tenzing Norgay stood on top. Since then, thousands have summited, but Everest still demands respect and claims lives almost every season. The stories of Sherpa strength, modern overcrowding controversies, and the mountain's ever-changing face, thanks to climate change, keep it endlessly fascinating. Number 2, Mauna Kea, the tallest mountain on Earth, from base to summit. At number 2, we reveal a secret most people don't know. Mauna Kea on Hawaii's Big Island is actually the tallest mountain on Earth when measured from its true base. From its base on the ocean floor to the summit, it rises approximately 10,210 meters, 33,500 feet, taller than Everest. Above sea level, it's only 4,207 meters, 13,803 feet. But the majority of this giant volcano is hidden beneath the Pacific. Why it's extreme and unbelievable? Most of it is underwater, yet it's a dormant shield volcano that last erupted 4,000 to 6,000 years ago. Its summit is one of the best places on Earth for astronomy because of the high altitude, dry air, and stable atmosphere, home to the world's largest telescopes. Native Hawaiians have considered Mauna Kea sacred for centuries, the home of deities and the altar of Wakea, the Sky Father. Ancient Hawaiians quarried stone for tools here. Modern observatories arrived in the 20th century, sparking ongoing cultural and environmental debates. Standing on Mauna Kea at sunset, watching the shadow of the Earth rise and the Milky Way blaze above world-class telescopes feels like touching the edge of the universe. You simply wouldn't believe a mountain this tall exists until you learn the full story. Number 1. Chimborazo, the closest point on Earth to outer space. And finally, our number 1 most extreme high natural wonder, Chimborazo in Ecuador, the volcano whose summit is the farthest point from the center of the Earth. At 6,263 meters above sea level, it's much lower than Everest. But because of Earth's equatorial bulge, our planet is not a perfect sphere. It's slightly wider at the equator. Chimborazo's summit sits about 2.1 kilometers farther from Earth's center than Everest's. It is literally the closest point on our planet's surface to outer space. For centuries, it was believed to be the highest mountain in the world, from sea level. In 1802, famous explorer Alexander von Humboldt attempted it with Amy Bonpland and reached a record height for Europeans at the time, about 5,875 meters, before altitude sickness forced them back. The first complete ascent came in 1880, when British mountaineer Edward Whymper, famous for the Matterhorn, and his team summited. Chimborazo is a dormant volcano in the Andes, part of Ecuador's Avenue of the Volcanoes. Its glaciers are also retreating, but its unique scientific status remains unchallenged. Standing on Chimborazo's summit, you are closer to the stars than anywhere else on Earth without leaving the planet. That is the ultimate, you wouldn't believe it exists, high natural wonder. And there you have it, our top 10 most extreme high natural wonders that redefine what high really means. From remote Antarctic giants and sacred Hawaiian volcanoes to the point on Earth closest to space itself. These places remind us how small we are and how magnificent our planet truly is. Which one blew your mind the most? Would you ever attempt to climb any of them? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. If you loved this journey to the roof of the world, smash that like button, subscribe for more epic adventures, and hit the bell so you never miss a video. Share this with a friend who needs a little wonder in their life. Until next time, keep exploring, keep dreaming, and remember the highest peaks are often the ones that change us the most.